Have you ever felt like you're just pouring water into a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom? I mean, you work hard, you make your payments every single month, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and yet your balances barely budge. If you've ever felt that exhausting weight, you are absolutely not alone. Welcome to our explainer for today. We're diving into something that affects millions of us, a concept we're calling the architecture of persistent debt. We're going to look at debt not just as some random number in your bank account, but as a structure, basically a carefully designed trap. And most importantly, we're going to give you the tools you need to literally dismantle it. So this brings us to a massive, honestly kind of unsettling mystery that we need to solve right now. Why do millions stay in debt forever? Just think about that for a second. We're not talking about folks who take out a loan, pay it off in a year, and move on. No, we're talking about incredibly smart, hardworking people who get locked into this financial maze that just seems to have absolutely no exit. If you've ever been there, I want to validate that right now. It's so common. And as you'll see, the system itself often feels like it's entirely rigged to keep you wandering in that maze, looking for a way out that just isn't there. The emotional toll of this, it's just staggering. The research highlights a really painful reality. People are spending years, sometimes literally decades, making payments without ever feeling like they're making any real progress. Imagine dedicating a massive portion of your life's labor to a balance that just flat out refuses to go down. It creates this deep sense of hopelessness. You know, it's a heavy, heavy weight to carry. But to take that weight off, we really have to understand exactly how the structure holding it up is actually built. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for today. First, the illusion of progress. Second, how the trap is built. Third, accelerants of persistent debt. And fourth, your blueprint for escape. Part 1, the illusion of progress, the treadmill of persistent debt. I mean, everyone starts out with the exact same goal, right? The dream is beautifully simple, becoming completely debt-free. It's that ultimate financial breath of fresh air. But the reality, well, according to the data, it's a lot harsher. The problem isn't actually just the sheer amount of debt sitting there on the ledger. The reality is that underlying financial habits keep the whole cycle going. Because look, you can throw cash at a problem all day long, but if the daily habits, the actual foundation of how money flows in and out of your life, if those don't change, the cycle just sustains itself. It's literally like walking on a treadmill. You're exhausting yourself, you're constantly moving, but you're staying in the exact same frustrating place. Part 2, how the trap is built, the foundational bricks of financial struggle. And this brilliantly illustrates the very first brick in this trap, high interest borrowing. When we look at credit cards and certain types of loans, interest accumulates incredibly fast, like shockingly fast. In a high interest scenario, a staggering 85% of your monthly payment might go straight to interest, while only a tiny 15% sliver actually reduces your principal balance. No wonder you feel stuck. Your hard-earned money is bypassing the actual debt almost entirely and just feeding this massive interest engine. It makes getting ahead feel, well, mathematically impossible. But high interest doesn't just act alone. It pairs up with another foundational brick, which is spending more than you earn. Let's walk through this vicious cycle step by step. Step 1, everyday expenses consistently exceed your income. Step 2, people rely on credit just to fill that gap and make ends meet. And step 3, over time, new debt replaces old debt. It's a complete doom loop. When you're using credit just to bridge the gap of your basic living expenses, true financial freedom gets pushed further and further out of reach. You aren't just paying for yesterday's purchases anymore. You're literally borrowing from tomorrow just to survive today. Okay, so we've got the bricks, but what makes the trap actually close in on you? Part 3, accelerants of persistent debt, the mechanisms that tighten the walls. One of the most insidious features of modern debt architecture is the minimum payment. It's defined here as a mechanism that keeps accounts in good standing, but dramatically extends repayment and inflates total interest. Think about that phrasing carefully for a second. The minimum payment is presented to you as this super helpful tool. It's a small, manageable number that keeps the bank happy and keeps your credit score completely safe. But guys, it is an incredibly dangerous illusion. It keeps you comfortable enough that you don't panic, but it silently locks you right into the trap for the long haul. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the research explicitly warns us about this. It says minimum payments, quote, can dramatically extend the repayment period and increase the total amount of interest paid over the life of the debt. By design, minimum payments are absolutely not there to help you pay off your balance. Nope, they are calculated to keep you paying for as long as legally possible, maximizing the profit for the lender through all that interest. So that comfortable little minimum payment, It's the very thing inflating the total cost of your debt to a truly staggering degree. And then, just when you think you figured out how to navigate the maze, the floor drops completely out from under you. Our source highlights these unexpected trapdoors: sudden medical bills, a devastating job loss, or, as we all know way too well, the car deciding to completely break down the exact day after payday. Right? Life moves fast, and emergencies strike without any warning. The critical issue here is the lack of an emergency fund. Without that financial buffer, you have absolutely no choice but to rely on even more borrowing just to cover basic human needs. Just one unexpected trip to the mechanic can force you to pile new, high-interest debt right on top of the old debt, pulling the walls of that trap even tighter. Part 4. Your blueprint for escape. Dismantling the walls. All right, it is time to tear down these walls, but first, we have to shatter a massive myth. The text points this out perfectly. Breaking free requires way more than just earning a higher income. So many of us think, if I just get that promotion or if I just pick up a second job, all my debt problems will magically vanish. But here's the reality. If the architecture of your finances is fundamentally flawed, if your habits are keeping you on that treadmill, if you're bleeding out through high interest, a higher income is just going to give you a faster treadmill. You'll literally just take on larger debts. We need a structural fix here, not just a quick cash injection. So the crucial point is this. Here is your escape blueprint, distilled directly from the research into 4 super actionable steps. 1. Create a budget. You've got to map out exactly where every single dollar is going so you can actually take control of it. 2. Reduce unnecessary expenses. Just stop the bleeding so that your income actually exceeds your everyday living costs. 3. Pay more than the minimum whenever possible. Break the illusion of that minimum payment and attack the principal balance so you can bypass the interest trap altogether. And 4, avoid new debt while your existing balances are being repaid. Actually, scratch that. Just freeze the borrowing entirely. You cannot dig your way out of a hole if you keep buying bigger shovels. Ultimately, this all comes down to a choice of destinies. On one side, we have the default path, paying interest forever, trapped in the architecture we just explored. But on the flip side, the text gives us a truly powerful alternative, actually building wealth. Look, the truth is, debt feels completely overwhelming, but it absolutely does not have to be permanent. With consistent discipline, smart financial planning, and, frankly, a whole lot of patience, you can break the cycle. You can flip the math so that your money actually starts working for you, building your wealth rather than draining away to pay interest to someone else for the rest of your life. We've seen exactly how the trap is built, right? We've seen the high interest bricks, the minimum payment accelerants, and the trapdoors of those unexpected expenses. But we've also seen the exact blueprint needed to tear it all down. The tools are sitting right in front of you: budgeting, cutting expenses, attacking that principal, and flat out refusing to take on any new debt. The architecture of persistent debt is incredibly strong, for sure, but it relies on you staying asleep at the wheel. The system profits off your participation in the trap. So the only question left is, now that you can clearly see the walls, what's your first move going to be to break out of them?